If West Ham are absolutely convinced that Graham Potter is their #1 target to replace Lopetegui should they sack him, then I believe the perfect time to do that is now. And that's what I'm going to be discussing in today's video. So I've got 3 main reasons I think right now is the perfect time to dismiss Lopetegui and bring in Graham Potter, on the provision that that is their #1 target, that they are dead set that Graham Potter is the right man to replace Lopetegui. And with that in mind, I'd like to begin the video by stressing with a little disclaimer that Graham Potter wouldn't necessarily be my #1 choice to replace Lopetegui. He wouldn't be. But as with most things when it comes to West Ham or just any football club in general, you have to park what you want to see and analyse the situation with what you think will happen, because it's usually 2 completely different things. You've got to look at it through a completely different lens. So let's take the transfer window, for example. West Ham are in the market for the striker. We'll all have someone that we'd love to see in the claret and blue. It's very unlikely to happen. When it does happen, it's wonderful, adds an extra layer of excitement, but it's very rare. It's more likely that we will sign a striker that isn't your #1 choice. And it's the same when it comes to the managerial situation at West Ham. It's unlikely we will hire the guy you want to see. So I'm parking what I want to see in regards to the managerial situation, and I'm going to be discussing what I think is likely to happen. And that is that I believe that the board do have Graham Potter as a #1 target. And if that's the case, then I think now is a perfect time to make that change. We've been linked to Graham Potter for quite some time now. We're going back to David Moyes' era, but taking the last month into consideration, after that Leicester City defeat, it was really ramped up that Graham Potter was the man, that West Ham were in discussions with Graham Potter's camp and we were going to sack Lopetegui, Potter was going to come in. And it ended up being that, Lopetegui got that 1 cup final against Wolves, which he went on to win. But I believe it was more a case of West Ham failing to agree anything with Graham Potter and Lopetegui remained because they couldn't get a deal lined up. Because I'm convinced that we will sack Lopetegui if we have to. The bar might be quite low or high, depending how you want to look at it. But I think if push comes to shove, we will sack him. We sacked Manuel Pellegrini, we sacked Slaven Bilic. There's evidence that we will pay out to sack a manager. But in both occasions, we had the next guy lined up. The failure to sack Avram Grant was partially down to the failure to get someone to succeed him. We tried to get Martin O'Neill. He rejected us. I am convinced that had Martin O'Neill agreed a deal, we would have sacked Avram Grant. So I think if we are going to sack Lopetegui, the next guy needs to have verbally agreed a deal, and we will announce the sacking, and within 24 hours at most, we will announce the replacement, which is Graham Potter. That's my theory. And even though we've gone on a 4-game unbeaten run post the Leicester defeat, the Graham Potter rumours remained. Not only did they not go away, they were reiterated. No, we still want Graham Potter. We're still discussing things with him in case we need to sack Lopetegui. Got to hide him by Liverpool very quickly. He's got a couple of games. Meanwhile, we're still discussing with Graham Potter. He's the #1 target. The reliable sources of West Ham news are doubling down on this Graham Potter link. I believe it. A, kind of because of who's reporting it. But B, it's just believable, isn't it? Graham Potter out of work makes sense. Just like when West Ham are linked to, say, Michael Carrick, I dismiss it. I think there's no chance. I'm not even convinced Carrick will leave Middlesbrough at this point of the season. But even if he would, I'm even less convinced West Ham would be willing to pay compensation and negotiate with Middlesbrough to get Carrick out of there and bring him to West Ham. So if we are going to sack Lopetegui, I think it's going to be a free manager that comes in to replace him. Graham Potter, he ticks all the boxes, really, bar one, which is Sullivan being a bit worried about his past achievements at Brighton and Hove Albion, because that's always been the stumbling block. But I think that can be removed. There's 3 big reasons I think that stumbling block can be removed, that barrier that Sullivan had in regards to hiring Graham Potter in the past. And I think that's why this becomes the perfect time to replace Lopetegui with Graham Potter. But like I said, on the condition that they actually believe Potter is the #1 target. Now, before I get into my reasons, just one point in the direction of this video's sponsor, Manscaped. Now, it's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day tomorrow. A lot of people do a New Year's resolution. Not myself. I think, why wait until the 1st of January? Why don't you do it on the 15th of November, the 10th of September, whatever. Just do it at any point in the year. Resolutions don't have to be at New Year. Just do them whenever you want them to be. But some people, New Year, new me. Steve wants to, I don't know, go to the gym, lose a little bit of weight. Maybe Bob wants to change his appearance. But if you're looking for a new you, we can help you with Manscaped. The Manscaped tools can help you, at least physically, change your appearance, feel a little bit different and a little bit better. Because we all do. We all feel a little bit, but you go to the hairdresser, get your hair cut, you feel a bit better. You have a shave, you feel like you look a little bit cleaner, you feel a little bit better about yourself. You look after yourself downstairs before a date night. You're feeling good, you're looking good, you feel a bit better about yourself, don't you? So these things, the Manscaped tools, don't make you feel better, but they help you feel better. We're going to help you feel better. We're going to give you 20% off everything on their entire website. So if you go to Manscaped, manscaped.com, Google it, click on it yourself. There's no specific link to follow, but just go to Manscaped. And when you put your tools in the basket, so you could have the Weed Whacker, which gets rid of your nose hair and your ear hair. We've got the Lawnmower 5 here, which gets rid of your pubes, but it also comes with an interchangeable head to help you maintain that facial hair. Manscaped looks after everything on your body. There's even aftershave on there, there's boxer shorts on there, there's tweezers for your eyebrows. Everything for male grooming is on the Manscaped website. 20% off everything. Pop it all into your basket. And when you're at the basket, the code isn't New Year, New Me or anything like that. It's Hammers Chat Pubes. All one word, Hammers Chat Pubes. It's a memorable voucher code. I think that's why we chose it. Pop it in, 20% off everything on the website, everything in your basket, 20% off, plus free shipping worldwide. So get saving before you go shaving and becoming a new you this new year. Anyway, back to the topic of discussion, Graham Potter. Why do I think this is the perfect time to hire Graham Potter? Let me rephrase that. Sounds like I want him, doesn't it? Why do I believe that this is the perfect time to hire Graham Potter if David Sullivan really wants him? There you go. That's a little bit better. First of all, I think it's risk-free. I don't think we're going to get relegated this season. I know Ipswich Town have just beaten Chelsea. I know Leicester looked okay against Manchester City. Southampton, I get it, right? I do get it. But I think even with Lopetegui in charge for the remainder of the season, I think we just stumble our way to the finish line and we will probably finish 14th or 15th in the Premier League. I don't think we'll get relegated. I don't think we'll get European football. I don't think we'll get anywhere near European football, although we're not that far off it at this point. Kind of feeds into the equation here, though. So even if you were to change the manager and it went wrong, I still don't think you get relegated. You've got to be a terrible manager. Right now, you came into West Ham right now and got West Ham relegated from where we are. You are a horrendous manager, okay? An average manager would be able to keep us up comfortably, in my opinion. So I think it's risk-free in that regard. But we're not that far away from European football at the minute. A handful of points between us and 6th, 7th, 8th. At the minute, England are currently 97% chance probability. Yes, I watch Monday Night Football. 97% chance that England will get that 5th Champions League spot this year. They missed out on it last year because of Man United and Newcastle. But this year, they're likely... It would be a shock if they didn't. So with that in mind, if the domestic cup competitions went in the favour of additional places in the Premier League, it will come down to 8th, right? There's a reasonable chance 8th in the Premier League will get Europa Conference League football next season. 8th. We're not that far away from it. So we were to make the change of manager and it was right. You got it right. That's achievable. I know it seems difficult to believe that right now because of the situation, but we're discussing changing the situation. It's achievable. So reason number 1, it's risk-free. Reason number 2, the January transfer window's around the corner. I think if you're going to stick with Lopetegui, where there's, on the assumption Tim Snydens remains in charge of the player recruitment here, he's got to go and bring in players that will fit what Lopetegui's trying to do at West Ham. He has to. I don't think he did it in the summer. I think he built a squad for a head coach that we do not have. So whether it's because he misunderstood how Lopetegui played or he didn't care how Lopetegui played, I think it's one of the two. You can't have that in January. Those excuses are gone now. You've seen Lopetegui's been here for, well, 7 months, but we've played half the season. You know, if you're a good director of football, you will know exactly what your head coach needs. You will be able to analyse the current team at West Ham, and you'll be able to say, right, we need this, that, and the other, and you will be able to go identify players to fulfil those purposes. So right now, it's New Year's Day tomorrow. Transfer window opens tomorrow. Tim Steiden's job is to go recruit players to fit with Lopetegui. That's what he's got to do. So if you're going to make a change, do it now. Don't wait until the end of January when possibly we've brought in, even if we're only going to bring in 2 players in January, we might have brought one in the first half. Then you go change the head coach. It's a stupid thing to do. Do not do it. So if you're going to go into January transfer window, we've got a bit of money to spend maybe. We might not do. We might do no business, but we are going to do something. Let's make sure we're doing it for the guy who's going to be here on the 1st of February, please. And I know that's probably what we're going to do, and it will be Lopetegui. But that's why I think right now is the right time to sack Lopetegui and bring in Potter. You then go into January transfer window recruiting for Graham Potter. You go in to bring in some players that would fit with the new head coach. And hopefully with the squad we've currently got, he can use that. But you can add 1 or 2 players to it to make it more suitable to Potter ball. Is that a thing? Potter ball? I don't know. It's every manager ball now, isn't it? Pep ball. Ange ball. Arteta ball. I don't know. Potter ball. There you go. So reason number 2 is the January transfer window. It's here. Right, you've got to decide now. You cannot delay this decision. And I think you've already decided. When you have a meeting to decide to give him a cup final, you've already decided he deserves a sack, right? Like I said, I think the delay was not having a replacement. You've got the replacement now. What are you waiting on? Are you waiting to get slapped by Man City to just... I think sometimes Sullivan feels like he needs to justify major decisions, such as sacking a manager. It's already justified, really. I think you've actually got to put more effort into justifying not sacking him than you are sacking him at the minute, which tells its own story. But that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, and this is the biggest one. Sullivan's hesitation with Graham Potter in the past has been... He's been suspicious of Potter's success at Brighton. I use it in quotation marks because we can all debate whether it was successful or not. But Sullivan always thought that Potter was good at Brighton, or looked good at Brighton, because of the infrastructure in place, because of their player recruitment, because of their player development, that Potter didn't necessarily do loads, and a lot of the work was done for him by other people. And if you took that away, Potter would be exposed and perhaps not a good head coach. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with David Sullivan's analysis there, okay? I am not saying he's wrong with that analysis. I get it. I do get it. I think there should be an element of embarrassment, which is that you don't have that infrastructure at West Ham United. You've been chairman for a long time now, and you spent a lot of money at this club, the club's money, but you spent a lot of the club's money, and you do not have an infrastructure in place that a head coach can succeed. There should be shame and embarrassment in that. But his evaluation of Potter at Brighton, I don't necessarily disagree with it. However, you've got Tim Steiden in place, so either you think he's doing a good job, and therefore we've kind of got the infrastructure in place now. I keep on complaining about. There's a player development aspect which we just ignored at West Ham, but the recruitment side of things, you've now got Tim Steiden to do that. So either you think Steiden's doing a good job and you've sort of rectified it, or you think Steiden's doing a bad job and we haven't, and therefore we need to have a discussion over the future of Tim Steiden at West Ham United. But because of the situation we're in this league, I think you can hire Potter and not require that infrastructure around him. I also think it's a bit harsh on Graham Potter to dismiss his achievements at the Swedish club, Ostrund. I know it starts with O-E, something, S-T-R-U-N-D. Ostrund. I don't know how you pronounce it. Ostrund. We'll go with that one. The Swedish club. And I recall it. We all know the tale. It's about like Will Smith. We all know the tale of Will Smith. We all know the tale of Graham Potter. He went over there. They were in the 4th division. He got them promoted to the top division for the first time ever. Qualified for the Europa League. Beat Arsenal. Lost to Arsenal. Played Arsenal. I'm pretty sure they beat Arsenal in the Europa League as well. Arsenal weren't great at that time, but he took them from the 4th division in Swedish football to top division and got them into European football. Unsure you can say that was because Brighton have a good infrastructure. Went to Swansea, looked all right at Swansea, got the job at Brighton, and Chelsea was a bit of a disaster, but you can debate that. But to say that his success at Brighton was only because of the infrastructure, yeah, I get it. But then you're dismissing Swansea, but more importantly, I think you're dismissing what he achieved in Sweden, because it's all relative. He wasn't at that Swedish club in the 4th division with Messi. He had players relative to the quality of the league and the size of that football club. That's why I think it's maybe a little bit harsh. But nevertheless, park all of that. At Brighton, one of the key people, not the most important man, that's Tony Bloom, but one of the key people at Brighton, the success at Brighton, was Dan Ashworth, who obviously then went to Newcastle United, had success there, went to Man United, and overseen a disaster of a transfer window, and he's been sacked by Ratcliffe. So currently, Ashworth is unemployed. Obviously, that would pose a potential problem with Tim Steidten, but if David Sullivan is a little bit hesitant of Graham Potter because of the player recruitment, well, one of the people that were very responsible for the player recruitment at Brighton and Hove Albion while Graham Potter was there is currently available, is currently unemployed. This is the man that was at Brighton when they signed McAllister, Trossard, Caicedo. He was at Newcastle United when they signed Alexander Isak. I go back to the start of the video. We all have strikers we'd love to see at West Ham. And this is, I'm not talking about now. I appreciate we can't get him now. I'm talking about when he signed for Newcastle in 2022. That's when I would have loved him at West Ham. The benefits of doing videos, archives. Ashworth was at Newcastle when they signed Alexander Isak. Was he the one that decided to sign him? I don't know. Okay, I don't know enough. But certainly he had the top job at Newcastle in terms of player recruitment, and they signed Alexander Isak. Not only Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon, the list is long. The list is short at Man U. 5 players, hasn't really worked out. Højlund, Xerxes, Ugarte, Mazraoui, and Jenny Lauro. There you go. There's the 5th player. But he's currently available. He's currently free. So Sullivan's got hesitations. Like I said, it would cause issues. You've got to decide. You've possibly got to sack Tim Steidten as well, which would upset some people, but would make some people very happy. He's Marmite Steidten at the minute, hasn't he? Split opinions. But he's available. He won't be available for long. He will be a sought after director of football, technical director, whatever you want to call him. You know, he had his stint with the FA as well before going to Brighton. So he's got a really good CV, and I think you can dismiss the Man United thing. I mean, this Ratcliffe is cutting the fund for former Man United players. He's taking away the £50 a week for steward of the week. This guy's cutting money left, right and centre. It looks like bad news, really, Ratcliffe, doesn't he? I'm not getting a good vibe from him. But anyway, nevertheless, different club. Ashworth is free. Potter is free. Sullivan thought Potter's success relied on player recruitment. The guy responsible, or certainly a key factor in the player recruitment at Brighton, is free. He's available. So I think Sullivan's excuses or reasons to not hire Graham Potter are null and void, personally. Therefore, my conclusion is that if Sullivan really wants Graham Potter, now is the perfect time to go get him. Like I said, that doesn't necessarily reflect my personal opinion in the sense of, do I think Potter would succeed at West Ham? Do I think he'd be a good manager at West Ham? But my opinion is, if you want Graham Potter, go get him now. You've already decided Lopetegui should be sacked. You've already decided Graham Potter's probably the man to replace him. I'm unsure what we're waiting for at this point in time. Maybe it's compensation. Maybe he's still hesitant about Graham Potter. I don't know. Trying to be ruthless. And I think the time to be ruthless is now. And this is even like this video, by the way, isn't even meant as an anti-Lopetegui one. This is me trying to analyse the situation at West Ham with what's really happening and what they're... It's almost like a prediction, isn't it? I predict we will hire Potter if we sack Lopetegui. I never decided to have a board meeting and give him one game to save his job. That was David Sullivan. And when you do that, then you've decided he's not good enough. And when you've decided to start speaking to Graham Potter and his entourage, then you've decided that guy's possibly the next manager. Just when rather than if, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. That's my thinking anyway. I think now's the perfect time for the reasons. January transfer window, I don't think we'll be relegated. Dan Ashworth. And lastly, to summarise it, I guess, between now and the end of the season, I think it would be a trial for Potter and Sullivan. For Sullivan to have a look at Graham Potter in closer quarters before deciding whether to give him a long-term contract. Maybe Potter won't sign a 6-month deal, but you'd get that period, that try before you buy kind of thing. I think, like I said, because, ironically, because of the 4 games which saved Lopetegui, I think it could actually cost him his job because it's given us a little bit of breathing space, which means it's the perfect time to sack him and bring someone else in. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. If you're doing something tonight, if you're celebrating Hogmanay, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I will catch up with you all tomorrow on New Year's Day. I'll see you next year.